the next part of the full-size F-150 overland truck build is here finally. And we are going to install it today. So, let me get into what it is, why we got it, and then we'll start the install. Okay, so I took some notes. I'm going to read you the notes. First of all, it is the Universal TMS aluminum bed rack on Amazon, which is different than most because it's really hard to find a bed rack on Amazon. It has an adjustable height. You can go 8 inches high or 9.5 inches high. It has an 800-pound load capacity, static. So dynamic, you usually cut that in about half. So 400-pound dynamic. It was $270, which is why I got it. After doing a lot of research, the bed rack market across pretty much every website is way overpriced because everybody's super into overlanding right now. So we did a little bit of hunting, found something a little bit cheaper. We do have to drill holes for this, but I'm not too worried about it because we can hide those holes very easily if we decide to take it off. And it's pretty simple to do so. I've drilled holes in the bed of a truck before. It's not a big deal. I know everybody's freaking out about it. I don't want to do that. But the reality is, it's not a big deal. I'll show you how to do it, and we'll do it in a way that makes it easy to hide. Anyways, now, we are going to get to the install part now. Wait, first, and arguably the most important step, is to measure your bed and space them out so that the weight is distributed evenly. So, we're going to take the overall length of the bed, which is 66 inches. We're going to divide that in 2, which is 33, and then you're going to divide that number in half again, which would be what? Roughly 16.5. So that is how far from the front where your cab is you want to mount the first rail 16.5 inches back, and then from the tailgate in you want to put your second bed rail 16.5 inches in from there. So let's unbox this beast and we'll get to measuring and marking lines and that kind of thing. So we'll get this unboxed. These are the pieces that mount to your truck, obviously, as I have shown here. So that will go to truck. This piece supports rail going across. Now, you have to be very clever when you do this because this piece has to go inside this groove right here, like this, in order to screw these bolts that go in here into there. Otherwise it's not threaded. So I'm going to take the time real quick to put these onto these before I start measuring. I'm just going to get this little bit painful / tricky part out of the way first. assembled these, but I have arrived at my first complaint. I'm missing a screw. See, now I'm gonna put the rest of this whole thing together and see if there's any extras in here. I have a feeling there is, but I'm gonna put the rest of it all together first, and then we'll find out at the end. So now that we have these pieces together, I'm going to cinch them down with the Allen wrenches that they provided, and then I'm gonna start taking the measurements and marking the spots where we're going to mount it. So hold on for just a second. Okay, everything is tightened down. Now I'm going to measure from the center hole to this outside of this bar so that I know the distance between there, and then I'm going to subtract that distance from 16.5, and then I will measure from there to the cab of the truck, and that'll give me an exact 16.5 measurement. So if I subtract this distance from 16.5, whatever's left is however far this needs to be from the cab of the truck. So we're gonna do that real fast. Now, I'm also measuring from the inside of the cab, not the outside. You see where I have my tape measure here? I have it lined up with this inside piece here. That's because you want the weight distributed evenly over the gap. It doesn't matter about this part. So, we're gonna go 13 inches right here. So I'm gonna mark that, and then I'm gonna get this thing in place, and I'm gonna mark where the holes should be. And I'm also going to double check the length on these rails going across the bed to see what they would look like. Okay, so here's a note. If you have a full-size truck, the length of these bars is wide enough just to go to the outside of the bed of your truck on both sides. So if you have a full-size truck, you do not have to cut these. Also, side note, I'm not worried about drilling holes in the side of my truck because this is something that I'm gonna leave on for a long time, and even if it's not, it's really easy to patch that up and cover it. Not a big deal. So we're going to embark on the marking the spots for drilling the holes. If you have an F-150, pay attention. You have these bump outs that protrude into the bed of your truck. You cannot drill down in those and access an area to put a bolt in there without cutting a hole in that. So our measurement here, you see this line right there? That's 13 inches. What I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to put it over here right above this, because then there's enough space for me to get a bolt up under here. So note, if you have an F-150, you have to mount it above these. Approximately, I'll give you a measurement here in just a second. From the inside of the cab, you have between 7 inches and about 16 inches worth of base. So you have about 9 inches right in here to where you can mount it, starting at 7 inches back. So we're gonna get to putting it there, even though that's not distributed perfectly. It will have to do for now. So we'll get to it. Okay, you can see we have marked the 2 spots where the holes are going to be, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we're gonna set the 2 brackets up there and make sure that the crossbar is going perfectly straight across the bed. Okay, I tried really hard to balance these up here and put the beams across so that we could get a visual for it, but they just keep freaking falling. So we're gonna drill the first holes and then make sure all of our measurements match on this side, and we're just gonna go for it. So be right back as soon as we get the next holes drilled. Alright, so these are the screws they want you to use for securing the rack to the bed of the truck, which is actually kind of ideal. Makes it look more flush once it's down. So anyways, I'm gonna find a drill bit for this and we're gonna get started. That side's on. Now we're gonna work on this side. I'll show you when we're finished. Alright, after sweating my butt off for quite some time, I got the first one installed. We have to take a break, go run an errand real quick, and then we'll be back to do the second one. Now that we know what to do, it should go a little bit faster. We'll see you guys here in just a few. Alright, we're back from running errands. Time to put on the second bar. Shouldn't be too bad. We know how to do it this time. We're gonna get that knocked out, and then I'll show you how it looks at the end. So, it's the next day. I was pretty tired after installing this yesterday and didn't want to finish the video at that time. I was just so wiped out. Because it's actually a lot of work. And I'll explain why here in just a second. Okay. Getting these things to line up and sit flush in here is a real pain in the McAsshole. I also forgot to put this thingy on. This one. I'll have to do that. But yeah, and I think you can probably tell I messed up over there. Yeah. I drilled it too far that way and too far back onto here, so I couldn't get the bolts on, so I had to move it this way, which is actually okay. I think the weight distribution on this distance will be better. But yeah, I definitely tried sitting on them. They, for sure, I can tell you right now, they hold 200 pounds at least. So yeah. Yep, not too shabby. They're lined up perfectly now. And the install was pain. But if you're looking for a cheap bed rack, and you don't want to spend a crap load of money, and you're okay with being able to adjust the height a little bit, and you don't need a crossbar here, I would say go for it. It's definitely going to take some work, and it's definitely a pain in the ass, but it is for sure a good bed rack. At least as far as I can tell so far. Anyways, I'll show a few more pictures of it, short clip about it, but I'm gonna link it below in the description. So if you guys want to pick one up, you certainly can. It will be an Amazon affiliate link, so I do get a kickback if you buy one. And also, I'm looking for a rooftop tent, but I'm on a budget, and it needs to be about $1,500 or less. So, if you guys know of a good rooftop tent for $1,500 or less, comment below in the description, in the video. Comment below. Let me know what it is. Send me a link to it. I'll go check it out, and maybe we'll buy the bed rack that you recommend. And if we do, we'll give you a shout out. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the bed rack install. We'll see you in the next video.